By now it's public to most people that I am running to become the 42nd mayor of Colorado Springs.
What do you see most common with a business that fails? What are they not doing? Yeah, he wants to know what you're going to do to make it easier to start and sustain business in Colorado Springs. She just wanted to know what your first order of business would be when you get office. And now a word from our sponsors. Planet Duct offers astronomical air duct cleaning with the most powerful vacuum trucks in Colorado. They have taken air duct cleaning to a new intergalactic level that is far more powerful and proactive than any on the market in El Paso County or Southern Colorado. Reach out to Planet Duct for any of your air duct cleaning needs. Our next sponsor is the People's Tiny House Festival. The People's Tiny House Festival is the nation's largest gathering of simple living, featuring van conversions, bus conversions, and tiny houses, of course. Catch the event in Loveland, Colorado, July 16th and 17th at the Ranch Events Complex. Get your tickets at peoplestinyhousefestival.com/tickets. Recon Marketing is the fastest growing social media agency in Colorado. Recon focuses on becoming an extension of your business while providing social media management, review management, and digital marketing. Recon Marketing, putting you on the radar. Our next sponsor is Sheath Underwear. Sheath Underwear has a pouch for the boys. It is everyday underwear for every man. 100% money back on the first pair if you don't like it. Visit sheathunderwear.com and enter the code COSBP20 to get 20% off your order. Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I'm the host of the show. Today, I'm sitting here with Yemi Mobolade, the owner of Wild Goose and Good Neighbors Meeting House. You don't say coffee house, though.
No, we don't say coffee house, and there's a reason. It's a meeting house.
Yeah. Because, what is that reason?
Well, my business partner and I, Russ, we're trying to redefine the concept of a public house.
Yeah.
Which is a public gathering place.
Mm-hmm.
We know it as pub house, but the historical meeting were the center places the public met when they were not at home or work. And so these were places that people gathered to meet.
Yeah. And now a pub kind of means, that's where you go with your buddies to get drunk.
Right, exactly. So it's like public house, a meeting house, a gathering place. So we wanted to trigger in people's minds that concept and give new language to an age-old experience.
And I like that, the meeting house concept, because before I got in business, I actually never even went to a coffee shop once.
Wow.
Maybe a Starbucks, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say that's true of me too. Yeah.
And then so it's like I never, coffee shops are actually, places where people meet.
Right.
For business. That's
right.
That's how I look at it. Or some people go there to study, right. to work. But I mean, I've only ever gone to a coffee shop for a coffee meeting.
Right. No, for business, for personal reasons, to celebrate significant anniversaries. And my favorite is for many people I've spoken with. The Wild Goose was the place where they had the first date.
Interesting.
It has been a first date place for a number of people. So where you meet.
So expanding the definition of what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that. That's cool, man. So can you tell us a little bit about what you got going on? And
Nothing. I am bored. I'm bored to death.
I know, man. You don't do anything, dude.
No, what do I got going on? By now it's public to most people that I am running to become the 42nd mayor of Colorado Springs.
Nice.
My announcement was about 12 days ago at America the Beautiful Park.
It's only been 12 days?
It has been 12
days.
It
feels like yesterday.
It does feel like yesterday, trust me.
Yeah.
And there were about 300 people that came to the announcement. Very diverse group of residents and business leaders, and even the former mayor, Mary Lou Makepeace, was there too. And
nice.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay.
She surprised me. Just right before I walked up on stage, as somebody whispered in my ear, Mary Lou Makepeace is here, audience right in front.
When was she the mayor?
Between, I believe, 96, 97, and 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been a city council member. She really has done a lot of good for this community, and really, I really feel honored to follow in her footsteps as just paving a way for, in her case, for just a new generation of elevating women in leadership in this community, which we do need. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of the work she's done, and I'm proud to follow in her footsteps and in the footsteps of several other leaders in this community as well.
Nice.
So about 300 people were there, and then we had a celebration at Kawadi Uprise downtown, which is a food hall.
Mm-hmm.
About 500-600 people came to that.
Wow. Okay.
I gave a speech at American and Beautiful Park, and then I gave a shorter speech at
There was
Kawadi.
500 to 600 people inside Quadi.
Yeah, I mean that place could
It is big.
it
Yeah.
could hold. We were told it could host up to 1,000.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, great day. A surreal moment and almost like an out of body experience for someone like me.
Yeah.
Because that is I'm not the typical candidate. I am not the. I haven't followed the pathway that most politicians do. I never thought I'd be the guy that would be stepping up to lead in that capacity. So
What's the difference? The non-typical sides, you think?
It's new.
Mm-hmm.
It's very new.
Okay.
Like I've never done this. I have never run for office. I've never held a public office position.
Yeah.
I don't even have a political party.
Yeah.
I don't. I was speaking to the governor's fellows on this past Thursday. I am a governor's fellow from the 2019-2020 class.
I don't know what that is actually.
I actually have my pin. So the governor's fellowship is it's modeled after the White House Fellowship.
Okay.
And it recruits some of the best and brightest across the state of Colorado, and introduces them into the highest level of state government, and so that you understand how the state works. You're introduced to leaders, the governor's office, and you have peers across the state, business leaders, and the whole idea is to infuse an imagination and a commitment of public service
Okay.
to nonprofit leaders and business leaders and the best and brightest. And so I have a cohort of about 16 friends across the state.
Nice.
Grand Junction and just all over. And
Yeah, I seen you posting. You were talking to the former mayor, like of Grand Junction, I think, right?
Salida.
Salida, that was it. Yeah.
I did have. So after my announcement, I decided to go on a short personal retreat, just to regain my mental energy and clarity. And so I announced and disappeared for a couple of days, and I spent one of those days in Salida.
Nice.
I hung out with the mayor of the former mayor of Salida, who's now running for to be a county commissioner.
Okay.
He was strongly encouraged to stay. We need you. He's actually a business leader. He owns Woods Distillery.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we got to talk about business and affordable housing crisis and the relationship between the two cities, and they were very welcoming. He and his buddies actually said, "Hey, when you get your yard signs, we would love to have them in Salida, so that when Colorado Springs people come in Salida, they can see Yemi for mayor. We can help promote you."
Yeah.
So that was a good trip.
Are you getting the yard signs?
We will be. The strategy was to wait on the yard signs because the real competition and the real campaigning begins in November. I mean, it's happening right now, but one of the challenges, and this is really important for the viewers to hear, is our most significant elections in this community are held in April. It's why I chose to announce April 4th.
Okay.
So 12 days ago, a year from Election Day.
Okay, so we got a whole year.
I am trying to unhide that date. That date is fairly hidden. So what this would typically look like is there's more participation in the November midterms, and then little to no participation in April.
Okay.
So the average voting age in April is about 60 years old. It's about usually 30% of registered voters actually vote. It's a fairly small number of residents that are deciding
who
the next mayor is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fairly small percentage of our residents are deciding who the next mayor is, who the next city council member is. So I am trying to activate people to go and say, that day matters. April 4th matters to you. Vote for your city. Vote for Colorado Springs. And by doing so, vote for me too. And so I'm calling people to really choose their city. So what can be confusing is I am running at the same time all these November elections are happening. And so one of the reasons why the campaign team questioned whether or not to do yard sign. If we put yard signs now, are people going to be looking for my name in November?
Okay.
As opposed to waiting till November, after November 8th, and then activating those. But we might be changing that strategy just because there's been a huge demand for some of those things right now. So as a business leader, you guys get it. How can you be creative in your messaging?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
going to be one of my next questions. Actually, was how are you taking what you've learned with your business into this campaign to help? I guess help you win.
It's 120% that.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel as though I have an added advantage of outsider looking in. At the same time, I'm an insider because I love this community. Colorado Springs is home for my family and me, but I've never done politics. So I've looked at this as the next entrepreneurial experience, as the next business start. One of the things I also do is I serve as the interim director for Thrive Network, which is a business development organization in Southeast. So we're teaching them business development skills with a hope of them starting businesses in Southeast and hiring Southeast residents and transforming the South Side community.
Why is that important for people to get into business?
Oh gosh, because it's everything. It is the way out. It is my story. I did a presentation yesterday at the Broadmoor to the Dakota Foundation asking for funds for Thrive, and I started with my story. I said, I'm a West African immigrant. I moved to this city with $15,000. As a pastor, I was starting a church, my first startup. But it wasn't until the Wild Goose was born that it really made a difference for me in this community. It not only made a difference for me economically, it made a difference for me socially, it made a difference for me in my leadership abilities and skills. It thrust me literally into city leadership. And I want that for every single person, especially our Southside residents that often are missing out from this type of experiences that we have. So that's why I'm passionate about that organization. So when I gave that presentation yesterday, I said, here's my story. And here's this story of the Wild Goose, this story of Good Neighbors, this story of COS I Love You, and all the other things I've been a part of has thrust me now to this opportunity to be able to help lead the city. And those are the success stories that it's not just true of me, but for many people. And let's increase access for others, to others.
For sure, man. Yeah.
But yeah, so to wrap up that in your question, I told the Thrive new class, I said, just like you guys are starting your entrepreneur endeavor, I've started a new one. It just happens to be running for public office. But all the principles that we're teaching you is the same. From nurturing the idea, from trying to define what problem you're trying to solve, from developing the team and the different parts of the team. I said I am in the middle of a startup.
Yeah. And so what is it even possible? Because I'm running my business by myself, and this is a question I just randomly thought of, is it even possible to win an election without a team? I don't even know.
Well, there are different types of businesses. As you know, there's sole proprietorship, there's partnership, and in the world of election, I would say that you have to think of it more as a partnership or a corporation.
Okay.
So I actually have an army of volunteers, about 50 of them.
Nice.
And I excel well in numbers. In motivating and empowering large numbers of people. I excel well in team development. And so even though I'm working with volunteers, I have to think about the different roles. It's the same thing. You're thinking about who's your executive team, who's your chief of staff, who are your board of directors. I have 12 board of directors.
Okay.
And who do you say yes to in terms of the board of directors, and who do you say no to?
How do you get that set up?
What skills do you bring? It's a lot of one-on-one meetings, inspiring people, and then asking for help. And not everyone's going to say yes. Sometimes you're told no. Rejection is part of the entrepreneurship process. We teach our Thrive community. We actually give them we ask them to they need 5 rejection assignments.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because it builds confidence when you know how to receive no or to be rejected. And so not everyone says yes, but you just keep moving forward and asking and inspiring, and I have the best team. It's my imposter syndrome is at an all-time high.
Okay.
So yeah, so I have a team of board of directors. I have a chief of staff, a deputy chief of staff. I have directors that I had in the technology team, the events team, my treasury team. I mean, different types of teams. And I think that's the competitive edge I have as a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm giving my strategy to the public, but it's that.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you just asked me, Andrew. It's bringing the business imagination and that leadership to a campaign trail. And this example is how I fully intend to lead the city
Mm-hmm.
in an inclusive, collaborative, and empowered way of empowering people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I embrace giving away strategy, because what I think is that if you do that and someone else sees that and they happen to be better than you, then that's probably better, right?
Right. Well, and in our case, Andrew, I believe our city will be better for it.
Mm-hmm.
What also makes me a unique candidate and an orthodox candidate is I've sat with people who, when I tell them that I wish my contenders, my opponents well,
Mm-hmm.
I said, my campaign team and I are trying to disrupt campaigning in this community. We're trying to disrupt American politics in the best way that moves
Mm-hmm.
our city forward. And we're trying to elevate the way campaigning has been done. Let's grow up. In the way we think about excellence in the business world. And if it means my opponents step up their game,
Yeah.
if it means that they get better, gosh, that helps me to go to sleep at night. Because I want them to do well. Because at the end of the day, regardless of who wins, if we all grow in our leadership, if we all become better leaders, our community benefits. So to your point, yeah, if they improve in their strategy, gosh, the whole community benefits at the end of the day. Isn't that what we all want?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Especially when you go into a political office, at least that should be your goal, right?
Right. So I do hope our community is better for this and not. This is the last thing I'll say about this point is when I said yes to this journey, I said yes to the whole journey, not just the office, which I hope I have the office, and I think I can do some incredible good with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I said yes to elevating this community even through campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, it's a unique opportunity and a unique moment in life for someone like me to have this publicity. People are watching. Why won't I want to use that
Mm-hmm.
to lift up the whole community, not just my campaign?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we're going to lift up this community because it's publicity.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So what things are you excited about when it comes to the change that you are wanting to bring?
Yeah, what am I excited about with regards to the change? I want to tweak that language a little bit. There are some changes, but there are also some
Improvements, maybe?
improvements. I want to acknowledge the work of my predecessors. I've spent time with Mayor Steve Bach, and I love the work that he did with just laying the foundation for a strong mayor and doing the hard work on all of our behalf to help us in that transition. I mean, that was hard work. He's also a business leader. I want to acknowledge the current mayor for his infrastructure work with stormwater and 2C and road repair. There is some great work that has been done, and I fully intend to build upon it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about change, I'm talking about building upon the work that others have done. And one of the most significant shifts you're going to see with my administration is being a business-led, business imagination, economic development, workforce development. I feel like those are the current tension points and the future tension points. You and I as business people, we know that our current challenges are workforce related. We know our current challenges are the current state of our economy, and in terms of the rising cost of everything. How's that gonna affect us? And so I fully intend to lead from my experience. And my experience is starting 3 businesses in the city. My experience is having been involved in workforce development in this community. And there's so much to those. My experience is having been a civil servant, a public servant for the last 3 years in city government as the small business development administrator. And that's how I discovered you guys and
Definitely,
followed in that role and watching you tell stories of other businesses. So as a small business development administrator for the city, whose job is to support businesses and be the first point of contact for on behalf of business owners, it was important for me to see who are some of the people that you were interviewing because I didn't know many of them.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of businesses out there.
There is a lot of businesses. So I'm bringing all that experience to the office and the work I've done with trying to cut red tape and trying to streamline with new technologies the process of the permitting process in our community.
So what would... Some people just don't have ambition to start businesses, but that's okay. and like, because, we still need businesses run on employees, so so it's like, how do you, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's like, how do we inspire people to be happy, I guess? and because some people don't even like care to help community, and so maybe that's not who you're talking to. I don't know, but I would like to reach everyone, and get everyone in a place where they're inspired about what they do, whether it's running a business or going to a job.
You are singing my song.
Okay.
I usually ask the question, what gets you up in the morning? When you and I met, I remember asking that question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, what makes you tick? I often I've rephrased that to say, what gets you up in the morning helps you kick ass during the day and go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. What are we living for? What inspires us? It's in all of us. And I just believe as human to human, if we can help each other pull it out of ourselves, I think our world would be a glorious place.
For sure, because I think a lot of the issues that we face in our community are derived from people who don't have nothing really to live for, I guess.
Right. Right. And it's a gradual process and a journey, and I want that for everyone. And entrepreneurship, as you and I know, can help that.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to be starting a business doesn't have to be the only way to get there. We live in an entrepreneurial city. Look at the number of nonprofit start that we have. That's an area we need to curate and pay attention to, because I see so many nonprofits. I see so many social impact businesses, and Colorado Springs has an entrepreneurial spirit. And what you and I will say is that we've probably grown the most from the process of being entrepreneurial. So whatever that is, whatever start, doesn't have to be an organization. It could be a project at work. It could be you raising your hands to say, I want to be involved in this. I want to help build this. I want to help start this. And you have no idea even how to do it. Because that's how most of us entrepreneurs are doing. We say yes to things that are just way over our head. But in that process of doing things that are bigger than us, that's where we grow the most. And when you and I met, I heard your story of how you've grown from your process of being a business owner. And
definitely.
Yeah, I think we both want that for every single person. So how do we inspire hope? How do we inspire courage? How do we inspire joy?
Yeah.
In these days, especially, as we know that hope and joy is becoming more scarce. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I kind of have a theory of why this city's so entrepreneurial. Cause
I'd love to hear it, actually.
I think
I'm in learning mode as a candidate. I want to learn as much as I can.
Definitely, man. And I feel that it's, a lot of people... a lot of people are transplants. I think Colorado has that.
That's a good point, right?
And a person who is willing to uproot their life, that
That's
is kind of
good.
they're already in a kind of growth mindset, I think, you know. But I
That's
mean,
powerful.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that has something to do with
Right.
it.
No, you're right. That probably has a lot more to do with it than I actually gave it. Than I gave it credit for, because a lot of us are transplant, and in my case, I can see how even that being transplanted from my country of origin
Oh yeah.
26 years ago, that was a courageous act to come to the U.S. to a new land, and yeah, but that pulls all kinds of
It forces you to
it
grow.
forces you to grow, and so many people have done that in Colorado Springs. Have left. Yeah, well done.
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. But yeah, man, this is exciting. You like your campaign trail, like, and when it says like you're going into office, my first my first like image of that is, you know, like you're sitting at a literal desk. You know. And so it's like, what does it entail? Like, how do you do the things? Like, what does actually being mayor mean?
Right. That's a great point, and I want to come back to the desk
Yeah.
because that's when we think of the politician or like the office of the president of the United States. You think of the Oval Office and the desk. Boy, I want to move away from that image.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll come back to that in a little bit. Well, what is the job of a mayor? Surprisingly, I've been asked that a number of times, and I think it's easy to assume everyone even knows what the job of a mayor, or city council member, or who even the vice president is. I mean, that's just the reality. So it's upon me to help explain that. There's a 41-page document called the City Charter. Think of it as our local constitution that has many of these are laws, and many of them are even laws that the citizens and the residents of Colorado Springs have said, this is what we want, including in 1979, we moved to a nonpartisan race. That's really important for people to know, that the office of the mayor is supposed to be nonpartisan.
And that's like in the.
It's in the city charter.
Oh wow. Okay.
Actually, every candidate is supposed to submit a sworn affidavit to the city clerk, who oversees our city election, that we're not endorsed by a political party.
That's interesting. Okay.
And here's why this is really important, Andrew, for all our listeners and everyone watching is city flourishing, city advancement, city growth should not be a partisan issue. So the office of the mayor should not be about politics. It should be about you putting the citizens first and the residents first. So the city charter in the 41-page document outlines what the job of a mayor is, including the city clerk, city council members. And part of my job is to be the chief executive officer of the city and run a really great city. I am supposed to ensure that our roads are kept, our neighborhoods are safe. I'm supposed to ensure the well-being of all residents. And I say that in addition, so this is my addendum to the city charter document, I feel like the office of a mayor has natural influence and actually has natural power. And I want to use that for the good of Colorado Springs residents.
Yeah.
So what that means is, leaning into all the right issues and conversations and joining the chamber in economic development and being the lead recruiter of great businesses and great talent. And because sometimes, no one other than the mayor of a city can call that person, that influential person, and they're going to pick up. I was speaking to a group of leaders this week, and they asked, what's the biggest thing that you're noticing in this season of campaigning? And I said the biggest shift for me is I call people, and it doesn't go to voicemail anymore. People answer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even have the job yet.
Yeah.
So that goes back to my earlier point about using the campaign itself as an opportunity to move the city forward. And leaders will pick up and say, and sometimes leave conversations and meetings and say, hey, Yemi, what do you need? And that's a type of influence the mayor's office carries to move, flourishing, and thriving forward for all people, is that I'm able to have those phone calls with local people. I can call local pastors and CEOs and business leaders to the table and say, we're going to tackle this problem together. It's one of my biggest strengths is that it's a unifier of people and collaborator of people. So let me end with the office, the desk.
Yeah, yes.
I do not like that image
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what that means is me. If that means me being at my office in a city government space and asking people that saying, if you want to meet with me, come to my office. That
It
can
sounds
feel
boring, too.
It's boring. It can feel intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
What I plan to do is what I've always done, to go to people.
Mm.
I do plan on doing business walks. And what business walks are is, taking time to go from business to business and hearing from people, making yourself accessible. Instead of saying, business leader, schedule time, come meet with me. I'm going to schedule time to just show up and say, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Give me some feedback. How can we serve you better? So if you go on my website, yemiformayor.com, and my policy of economic and affordability, it uses the language, I want to champion a human-centered economy, and that is putting business leaders at the center of the decision-making process. So the needs, the challenges of the business leader, of the business owner, of the worker will be the focus of how we help determine how we make decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important, too, because people typically who are in business are the ones who are actually like the movers and doers and make things happen inside the city,
Exactly.
And so it's like touching those people are going to allow the best growth, I think, And I
Right.
think that's also important that you've done business. And I think it's important that, people who are running for any office maybe should have that kind of executive experience or at least be trained in it. I don't know. It's like,
Right.
I think it's good and I like it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. One of my, and it's touching on an earlier point that I made, I do think one of my most competitive edge is that I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a business leader. I've been a business owner. I've been an economic developer. I've been a workforce developer. I've been there. And then I have the even added advantage of I have the respect and the influence of the people I'm going to be leading.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a colleague. I've been, for 3 years, I've been a city worker. So I know who they are, what the challenges are. And many of them have said, yes, we want you. So, yeah.
And it was the SBDC, right? That you were
No, the city of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
I actually was on the same floor as the mayor's floor,
Oh,
the
okay.
sixth floor. So
I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, 30 South Nevada.
Okay.
For the corner right there. Maybe that's something we need to change. Where is that? Let's make that accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's and one of the things I am running on is to increase access and access to city government, and also with increased transparency too. But so yeah, we have the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and ECTA, who a number of us know ECTA, has that role, and I worked in collaboration with ECTA. So my role is actually city government proper, and my work was out of the Office of Economic Development.
Okay.
So my title, Small Business Development.
That's where I got confused.
Development is a key difference between what I did and what ECTA did.
Oh, okay.
So ECTA worked in a more just general administration, so finance. Let's teach you how to create a business plan. I want to put a shout out. If you're listening and watching, and if you're trying to figure out how to get a start in your idea, SBDC is a great place to start.
For sure.
So ECTA and I talk about how her work is in the step 1 or step 2 of the business journey. And then you get to, which is to create a business plan and to form your LLC. And then you get to step 3, especially when you're looking for a space. And then you start to trigger a bunch of government permit issues that you've never done before. That's where I came in, because it can be hard and complicated, and sometimes you're stuck in the process. And who do you talk to? Yemi's here for you. So that's what I did for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably should have talked to you then. Because I mean, I'm not going to throw myself under the bus or anything, but I kind of just did things,
Right.
I just do things, It's like I don't let anything stop me, because
Right.
if you have all these things, these walls that you keep hitting, you're never going to get things done. And so I was just like, I'm just going to shoot first, ask questions later. And I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's the best way I knew how to do it.
That's actually we teach at the Thrive community. We and this is very true of the startup world. We talk about ready, fire, aim.
Okay.
Because sometimes you just have to do it, and then then course correct.
Yes.
But that's a business journey. I was like you, and my business partner and I had to figure things out. But I believe that we can make it easier for our residents, and it's why I said yes to that job. And that job, I led a team called the Colorado Springs for Small Business Advancement Team.
Okay.
I think you guys in this podcast, you know about that team.
Definitely.
It's dynamic. It's there are 20 leaders that convene on a monthly basis, and it was just a joy to lead that team. And that team is made up of 3 buckets of leaders. The first bucket is the government people. So utilities, city admin, county, regional building. So the government people that touch the small business development process. The second bucket is made up of the business service organizations, SBDC, Chamber and EDC, Downtown Partnership. So the organizations that serve, the nonprofit organizations that serve businesses. Then the third group is one of my favorite. It's made up of a couple of business leaders, a commercial broker, a general contractor. So the business advocates that interact with the development process. That group meets on a monthly basis to say, what else? What else can we do? And I put a vision in front of that group about 4 or 5 years ago, and I said, we're going to make Colorado the most small business friendly city in the U.S. And we've been working on that vision.
And I think you guys have done a good job so far.
We have.
Or the whole city has, you know?
Yeah, I would tell you the number of significant accomplishment. One of them is cosopenforbiz.com. So if you're watching and listening, check it out, cosopenforbiz.com. The idea is that Colorado Springs is open for business, and therefore we should be friendly, and therefore we should make the process easier. So it's a series of roadmaps for the person that has never done it. We walk them from step 1 all the way to your grand opening. And then we have your direct point of contacts, and these are direct numbers of people you should be speaking to directly. And the other one is I'm so excited about. This one I'm really thrilled about. Open Counter. It's not public yet.
Okay.
Open Counter is a modern permitting tool that improves the residents' and the citizens' experience of government. So hang with me here for a second. You have, in our city, you have regional building, you have utilities, you have city admin, fire, and planning and development. You have county. So what I'm saying is that you sometimes, depending on the type of business that you're trying to open, you have different government entities you have to speak with. And it's upon the business owner to try to navigate the permitting information and the cost. What I'm trying to do, what I was trying to do, and what the team is still trying to do today, they're working on it every week, is to unite all of those. Government, we have to talk amongst ourselves. And we have to make it easy for the business resident. And I always say they have to be able to be in their PJs at home, online, going, I want to open up a barbershop. And instantly they should be able to type in barbershop, and every part of the city that is zoned for barbershop should be able to come up instantly. We have all that back end knowledge. Why not just put it into a system that can just, that makes it easy for the citizen to find out. And then there's like a turbo tax calculator. Based off of what you're selecting, the fees are being computed. And then at the end of the day, you know what that exact amount is to go on your pro forma for your business start plans. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. Just make that easy.
That's
that group I'm really proud of. I'm no longer leading that group. Clearly I'm campaigning, but it's still moving forward. Yeah.
So you have a lot of experience with working with small businesses, and this is a business podcast, and I'm happy to have you on. You should definitely connect us with more people in that arena. I think that would be good to have some of them on the show as well.
Cool.
And I think that'd be cool. But the question I want to ask is, what do you see most common with a business that fails? What are they not doing?
So not a business, not a challenge in terms of start, in terms of why they fail after year 2 or year 5. I would say the answer I want to give is a challenge not just with business. It's a challenge for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's finance,
Cash flow.
cash flow. It's the more we know about finance, even personal finance, the better we are at our business finance. I have a theory that the way we handle our personal money is how we handle our business money. So if you're a spender and you're not doing your own personal, income versus expenses and what's left and what do you do with your net income, reinvest, we bring that directly to our business. So we think we have a crisis in terms of money management, and at Thrive we're trying to get ahead of it. So we have mentors and we have guides that are helping our cohort of entrepreneurs get around their own personal management of money,
Makes
knowing
sense,
that it's
yeah.
going to bring that to business. And then the second thing that I would say is most of us get into business for the love of the service and the craft.
Yes.
And we see an opportunity to bring that to the public. But most of us didn't get into business to learn about the nuts and bolts of how to operate a business. So there's that learning curve.
The discipline to actually do that work.
Right. And I don't think it's one that we can't overcome. I do think we can be better at mentoring and that development, peer-to-peer mentoring or friend tours or actually mentors to help us through, because the journey of entrepreneurship can feel very lonely.
Yeah. Marcus has been a good friend tour.
Yeah. No, we do need that. Exchanging ideas, mutual development and growth, and being vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm struggling. Help me. I feel like we can, if we did that better, businesses can last past 2 years or that 5-year hump.
And to just basically ask for help.
Ask for help, yeah. Ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. Because we're all struggling.
Yes. In different ways.
Everybody's, we're all pretending and everyone looks good, but we're all struggling. Yeah, that's the reality.
Nice. Well, I have a few questions that some people wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Knowing that you were coming on the show. Someone wanted to kind of, she was interested about, we kind of have an influx of homeless people in the community.
Right.
And her question, she would like to know what specific changes you are wanting to make in that and how the homeless outreach team can be expanded to help residents who struggle with homelessness, people
Right.
impacting their business and homes, actually.
Yeah. Whoever that is, I don't know your name, but thank you for asking that question, because it's not just a question about that connects to all residents and affects the quality of life for the whole city, but it's also a question that many business owners ask, especially me. I'm a downtown business owner, and part of being a downtown business owner is dealing with our homeless residents. I will tell you, I would love to tell this person, if we were face to face, is there is some good work that is already happening that I would love to build upon. And I'll tell you a couple. One of them is what she's mentioned, the homeless hot outreach team. And there's also another one. There's a one from the fire department. There's one from the police department. It's very similar, hot and hop. And those are innovative programs, non-emergency service programs to try to get help to what some quote unquote the frequent users of the 911 system, and it's under the care system out of the fire department. And I do see an opportunity to put more investment in that. Right now, they've been innovative programs that have been not fully sponsored by the city, and it's also sponsored too by the generous donation of funders and grants. So it's been a partnership between the city and other grants. I do feel like we can scale those. because they not only make a difference, they also help save the city money.
Okay.
Because the more we lean into the cares and hot programs, the less likely we are to send a fire truck to go
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
with. Yeah, because there's a lot of money every time we send a fire truck and a staff, a team of people. So it feels it feels also physically responsible, as well as it's making a difference. So I'd like to see an expansion and a further investment of those programs. The other one that I see that has made a difference is the partnership the city has with key nonprofits that are making a difference in those areas. It's really important to me to know where government can make a difference and where we shouldn't be putting our nose in. I've worked in that environment for 3 years, and there's some things that only government can do. Like we've talked about police and fire and public safety and some of those things. Having the city of Colorado Springs be a homeless provider, it's a bad idea. I mean, because in the world of government, we have limitations and we have to worry about risk management. But one of the things that has been done well right now, and I give the current mayor credit for this, is the partnership with providers. And one of them is Springs Rescue Mission, and I sit on that board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've sat on that board for the last 4 years, and I've watched the progress that my organization, Springs Rescue Mission, has made over the years in not only bringing in, creating a low barrier entry for anybody to come in, but also moving them along the process of housing and also getting a job. And so I fully intend to explore opportunities to enhance those opportunities to continue to partner with Springs Rescue Mission and other providers, because you have the place. I mean, their specialty is with youth homelessness and some of those other folks that are doing a great job in our community.
Yeah, and like as the city grows, I can only imagine the homeless population grows. We got people coming from Denver as well, you know. It's like, but we're also in a very transient area, you know. So it's like, I think that's. I did a video with Frank Sinclair called Faces of Homelessness, and we went and we interviewed a bunch of homeless people, and it was just interesting where they were all coming from, you know. Most of them weren't even from the Springs, you know. So someone was just she came up from Texas. She moved in with her like sister-in-law or something, and she got kicked. Wow. She got kicked out, and she was just trying to find a bus ticket home, you know. So it's like, every situation's different, you know. So it's like, I'm just giving what I've seen, you know. From
that's powerful. You're humanizing our homeless residents, and I think that's really important to humanize them. And many of them are just moms and dads and uncles and aunts and sons and daughters. And another opportunity is to partner with organizations like, Crossfire that are helping the working poor, because there are a lot of families in our community that are one bad break away from homelessness. And that's a story of what you said of that lady that moved in with her sister-in-law.
She robbed her and kicked her out, you know.
Right. So one bad decision, one bad break from the world of homelessness. So if we can help even some of those in our own community avoid that, I think that's a way to get ahead of homelessness. And Crossfire is an incredible organization that is doing that. So you hear me give a lot of kudos and shout out to different, because I want people to know what's happening in our community. So
and who they can reach out to if
who
they
they can reach out to.
Yeah.
And I fully intend to leverage this campaign trail to point people to where they can get help and the good things that are happening.
Okay, sweet. Actually, the next question is from someone who was at your announcement.
Very cool.
Michael Schoening, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he wants to know what you're going to do to make it easier to start and sustain business in Colorado Springs.
Oh, gosh. Shout out to Michael. I know who you are. You're a good one. And you're doing some great job, too, in that space. And so I applaud you, too. The best way for me to answer this is to continue the work I've done. I'm really proud of the work I've done. I stepped into public service with that passion, what Michael's talking about, to start and sustain. I became an economic developer. I accidentally stumbled into becoming an economic developer. I actually even know that was a career. We opened the Wild Goose, and the Wild Goose was my heart and intent was we would start this business, and then we would teach others to do the same.
Which is economic development, right?
Boom. Then somebody said, "Hey, so you're doing this. You might as well get paid for it."
Yeah.
And I became an economic developer. So I've always been passionate about what Michael is asking, and so I fully intend to continue to champion the local business owner completely, and to focus on that human-centered economy and putting them at the center of my decision making. And asking them, saying, what else do you need? How else can I help you? What can our city do better? So we will continue initiatives like the Colorado Springs Small Business Advancement. And that team coming together, putting their heads and minds together to say, what else can we do to make the process easier? We will continue to pursue initiatives like Open Counter to make the permitting process easier and to streamline the government processes for small businesses. We're going to lean into things like that and reduce red tape, no matter how hard that is, because I do want to see as many business starts in this community for the reasons that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. And Open Counter's not available yet, is it?
It's not available,
Okay.
but it's being worked on. There are two different platforms that are being worked on. One of them is the zoning and the business, which is more relevant to this conversation. So my hope and dream is before the end of the year, something comes out public around this. I'm so excited.
Is this a free service?
It would be a free service.
Nice.
This is my project, one of my projects when I was at the city, and one that I fought hard and worked hard to unite all these government entities. It was hard. I'm proud of my colleagues. They hung in there with me. I was always able to, in a typical meeting, I was always able to pull the business owner card. So I literally switch. I'm like, okay, I know I'm a colleague and a public servant, but let me switch hats. As a business owner, I hear you, but that still doesn't help me. So lean into my business experience. And I give them credit for doing that because they have their own challenges too associated with being in government. But so that should come out. Open Counter should come out before the end of the year for two platforms, the business and zoning and special events.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So we went ahead and pursued a special events portal so that for the resident that wants to do an event at America the Beautiful Park like Yemi did on April 4th, there should be a streamlined process. Because like business start, you have to talk to different entities. You have to talk to police. You have to talk to fire. You have to talk to Parks and Rec. And how can we streamline that process so that the person that wants to do an event knows what the options for what park that they can host what type of event and what the next steps are and what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
So those two things should come out for
That's
the end of the year. So when people come and say, well, what experience do you have? I was like, I've already been doing what I fully intend to continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, sweet. So the next question is actually, I'm pretty sure she's a friend of yours. It's Kristen Faith.
Oh, hi, Kristen.
And she just wanted to know what your first order of business would be when you get office.
Oh, that's a great question. My first order of business is the same advice I give every leader, every new CEO, every new whoever says yes to a new leadership challenge. Listen. And some of that is I've always valued being a frontline leader. Abraham Lincoln is one of my heroes. We share the same birthday.
Nice.
So by virtue of sharing the same birthday, I was thrust into this man's life. And I find similarities in our leadership style, including not always being perfect, but weighing and wrestling through different ideas from different camps and trying to make the best decisions for our people. But one of the things I've always valued in him is this leader of the people. He's always been a man of the people, frontline leader. And that's how I fully intend to lead. I need from the thousands of people that work in city government and walk in those halls and take in those rides with fire and CSPD and not just hearing from their leaders, but the people in the front line who are doing the work, understanding what's working, what's not working, what are the challenges, and doing the same with my community, calling on key leaders and key people and being present, learning, being an undercover boss, if you may will.
Okay,
And
yeah.
just and gathering all that information and then convening some of those key leaders and saying, okay, here's a summary of the opportunities we can build upon and the challenges we have. Now let us create a strategic plan for the next chapter of our city.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. Well, sweet. Those are I just had 3 questions.
awesome.
Is there anything else you'd like to let the people know?
Gosh, the 3 of us in this room, our world lives in what's traditionally known as small business.
Mm-hmm.
It is the sole proprietor, the small partnership, the mom and pop.
Mm-hmm.
What is even small business? Who knows? I mean, the definition is really interesting. Is it size? Is it
Yeah.
street definition? Is it? In addition to small, there are a number of local businesses in this community that make up. They're the backbone, really. And many of them actually provide those even higher wage jobs that I can even provide, that give residents the opportunity to be able to afford to live in this community. They're in manufacturing. And by the way, I started my business career in manufacturing. I love manufacturing.
Okay.
So they're manufacturing. So shout out to my manufacturing friends. You know who you are in this community. They're in cyber. Shout out to my cyber friends. They're in defense. I've met with a number of defense CEOs and owners. I mean, 44% of our economy is around the defense.
What's the difference?
Defense is aerospace, is the military.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's and that's where the military comes in. They, by presence of this four bases, that whole ecosystem creates opportunities.
It does. Yeah.
New opportunities for leveraging some of those defense technologies and a civilian, a commercial version of that. That many of these companies are impacting the nation. There's healthcare sector. Gosh, it's IT. I have a lot of IT and software and app friends in this community. These guys and women, they all make up. They are all responsible for the thriving of these communities. And a good strategy for me as mayor would be to lean into some of these these businesses and figure out how to help them grow. How do we help our $2 million businesses become $5 million? How do we help our $5 million businesses become $10 million? Because the more that they grow, they become more headquarters and then begin to look for new locations across the city. And as they plant regional site across not the city, the nation, guess what all that money comes back to?
Back to the city.
Comes back to the city.
Yes.
So if we can help create new headquarters as opposed to just recruiting, we do need to recruit. And I want to be at the helm of recruiting the right flagship businesses like your Amazons. And they don't get me wrong, they also matter. How to recruit. But if the biggest opportunity is to help grow local, create the new local Amazons, let them have regional site, and that money comes back to our city. So I just want to give a shout out to those businesses and to say, I see you, I'm with you, I want to help you grow. Even though my work has landed in a small business, traditional small business, my work at the Chamber and EDC was for those people. And
to help get out of small business.
Exactly.
Or not get out, but get to the
help
next
them grow,
level. Yeah.
help to grow to the next level. So there's real opportunity there.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to take on that challenge.
Sweet, man. Well, this has been a great podcast, and I'm so glad you came. And it's been, I think there's a lot of good takeaways people can take away from it, and people can get to know you a little bit on a more personal level.
Thank
too.
you for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. I respect the work you're doing because it's storytelling. It's storytelling in the area of economic development and these business leaders that make up the fabric of our community. So thank you for inviting me, and I love the timing. Also, 2 weeks from my announcement.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate the platform and the voice you're giving me to really tell my story to the rest of this community that I love so much.
And we're talking about it 2 weeks from the announcement, but it'll probably be released 2 weeks from now.
Right. Yeah, that's good clarification. So about a month from the announcement.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Thank you.
And yeah, sweet. Well, this has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one. And we'll see you back here sometime soon.
I'd love to be back. Thank you.
All right, later.